Lena, KrupinA, and today in the video I will try to explain what the situation is in Russia with the sports categories and why indignations emerge among parents, coaches and gymnasts, and when to wait for a solution to this problem. I think many people know that the approval of documents is not a quick process, and sometimes it depends not only on the Rhythmic Gymnastics Federation. So during this year, events took place in the world that turned our whole world upside down. The FIT rules, which have been forced since January 2022, began to appear among gymnasts 6 months before they came into force. The main document that is in charge of these categories was adopted in 2021 for the whole of 2022. For those who do not know, this document of the Unified All Russian Sports Classification, this is a regulatory document that determines the procedure for conferring and confirming sports titles and categories in Russia. To put it simply, it is in this document that a grid with standards for each category is fixed. For gymnastics for 2022, it was compiled specifically for the FIT rules. However, after we were banned from playing at international tournaments, Irina Vinner very quickly introduced her new rules in Russia, which apply only to us. Their essence is that gymnasts now have no restrictions at all and they can perform as many difficulties as they managed to do in their routine. So in March, the rules already appeared and the gymnasts gradually began to perform according to them. The rules were officially adopted on September 29, 2022. Considering that the rank grid remained old and according to the new rules of Russia, became much easier to score high marks, then accordingly, the gymnasts could perform the rank without much difficulty. Due to the fact that the Ministry of Sports received a large influx of documents for the performance of categories in rhythmic gymnastics, the performance of the categories was suspended due to the difficulty and the scores that gymnasts are supposed to get for this category. As a result, the gymnasts that entered their documents starting from September 29th until November are now in limbo. This is, all those applications that were sent before the 29th will be assigned according to the old grid. But those who sent their documents after September 29th are suspended due to the fact that now a new grid is being formed. It turns out that the gymnasts performed for nothing for more than 2 months and spent time, effort and money on trips to perform for these categories, and they were told in hindsight that most likely they would have to perform again. Perhaps this was the biggest problem that caused such heated discussions and disconnect in social media, that the suspension of categories was reported only 2 months after many had already performed for their categories. Parents, of course, did not fit in, including sometimes blaming clubs and schools for this mess, because it is the parents who spent money on trips and their children, and it is quite possible to understand them. However, all that the clubs have in fact is that in November they stopped accepting documents for the performance of categories with words from above, and you definitely shouldn't blame them. They are just intermediates in the situation. Well, the most curious thing here is that in some regions they still continue to assign ranks, and they also write that in the schools of Irina Vinner, everyone knew about September 29th and still gave ranks to children. But in ordinary schools and clubs in Moscow, they do not assign. In our Telegram chat, there were also mothers who wrote that they were being assigned everything and they had no problem. But still more often I received messages saying that they weren't assigned anything to us. We were set and don't know what to do. Someone refuses to go to competitions because it is still impossible to compete in the roads, and there the question remains open. But will you be able to do this program in the gym? And I think no one can answer the question of what will happen and when again everyone will be able to perform for their categories, at least they say at a meeting at the Association of Clubs in the capital. The Center of Rhythmic Gymnastics says that our children are poor, but at the same time, this whole year, children were able to perform for the candidate Master of Sports category. In general, the situation is certainly unpleasant, and especially because there is no timely information from the federation, someone is assigned, but not everyone. And most clubs and schools are completely afraid to talk about this problem because they are afraid for what this may come into.
Дети-то у нас бедные, но при этом весь этот год у нас дети выполняли разряды по КМС, просто приехали и программу надо было сделать. Можно было 3 раза за площадку выйти и собрать. То есть в этом году КМС очень подфартило, скажем честно.
Я понимаю боль, с которой вы задаете этот вопрос. Это наше общее и наших детей, поверьте. Тут вопрос адресата. Относимся ли мы к этому положительно? Нет. Есть ситуация, которую нужно решать в нашей ли власти сейчас ее решить. То есть от нас ли это зависит? Нет, не от нас это зависит. Все присутствующие в этой аудитории думают так же, как и вы, поверьте. И мы хотим решить эту проблему.
4 месяца у нас сроки соревнований, правильно? Выйдет в эти рамки ЕВСК. Согласно результаты подойдут под это ЕВСК, мы не знаем. Дата утверждения, это же там все очень сложно. И я говорю, это вопросы просто не нашего уровня. Вчера даже сидят такие, я говорю, Лена Вовна Крупушен, как Валентина Скаудин, то есть сидят тренеры, и они в такой же ситуации. Это не проблема клуба, не проблема клубов Москвы, это общая сейчас проблема в России, которая есть. Все, мы с ней живем.
Не просто ждем, коллеги, это неправильный подход просто ждать. Вначале было сказано, что должна быть рабочая группа самовыдвиженцев. Мы же с вами что ждем, что сейчас кто-то там решит? Да не будет никто решать за нас, никогда не решали. А то, что решают за нас не устраивает.
So at the moment, the situation is that the whole of Russia is waiting for the new official document to be approved, while only draft tables with points of execution appear on the internet. And they say that if those who completed after September 29th fall under the new rank grid, they will be assigned ranks. But again, if this will be done is unknown. Again, this is all hearsay and speculation. The official document will be approved by the Ministry of Sports and the Ministry of Justice. And for me personally, probably the strangest fact is that the president of the Gymnastics Federation and those who helped her with the creation of the new rules of Russia did not think that there would be problems with the performance of categories, because this is kind of obvious and they are interconnected things. Was it really that important to immediately create the new rules, or take it one step at a time and do everything correctly and not simultaneously with adopting the new rules and keeping everything with categories in the right position? But here I recall the speech of Irina Winner, which I published in the Telegram channel, where Irina Alexandrovna, I guess, was just responding to the claim of the Ministry of Sports about increasing certificates for performing categories. In her speech, Irina Winner did not say anything about the fact that the federation screwed up and did not think about adopting the new rules from the new year along with new official documents, but only said that it was the local judges who judged incorrectly and overestimated the marks. And by the way, it was then that she said that the federation was preparing a document in which they would selectively re-judge competitions and disqualify gymnasts for 2 years if the judges of the federation saw the points that were not correct. As the popular phrase goes, the best defense is an offensive in action. So if we sum up, in Russia, the big problem is that they adopted new rules, but the discharge grid was not updated, and as a result, children who performed for new categories during this period suffered a lot. At the moment, there is no new grid and no resolution, and the children are training for an empty spot. For some, the meaning and the motivation to compete is lost, and some will not be able to compete in the categories at all, knowing how important every month in our sport is. Well, talking about the new official document that is about to come out, there are some projects appearing on the internet, and some people believe that the scores are very overestimated for gymnasts and especially average ones. It will be very difficult for some to compete in these categories, but we will probably be able to talk about this when the new classification is finally adopted, and we will see in practice how this all will happen. In the meantime, write in the comments which of you are encountered in a problem performing with categories, and what do you think about this whole situation. Well, see you all in the next video. Remember that I love you all very much, and bye bye.